This was a climate as alien to them as the indigenous peoples they encountered. That interest in snow flourished with the Industrial Revolution and gained only more intensity with the record snows of the last 3 decades as the world has become warmer. I've tried to address fundamental questions that have long piqued my curiosity about the science of snow: why it snows, why it is that in the 21st century meteorologists still struggle with snow forecasts despite having the most powerful computers taxpayers and private interests can buy, and the question of just what kind of future snow might have in a warming world. The vanishing of sun-repelling snow and ice clearly has accelerated warming in the Arctic, which in turn has led to more melting. Nothing happens in isolation in the atmosphere. Ultimately, all weather is global, and changes in the Arctic are affecting weather in the populated lower latitudes. Snow has power that is at once menacing and magical. It can impose a cease and desist order on the normal business of life. It can mute the cacophony of the noisiest city with its silencing powers, while transforming the bleakest urban environment into a winter playground. It so happened that I grew up in one of those bleak, noisy urban environments, Chester, Pennsylvania, a fading factory town on the Delaware River about 10 miles from Philadelphia. It was an industrial behemoth during the 2 world wars and then rapidly went the way of other places where ships and anchors and steel and paper products actually were once manufactured. In my youth, it was in a constant state of Monday morning, a brooding shipyard whistle dictating its rhythms and factory smoke masquerading as clouds. But a decent snowfall routed the smoke, the roaring trains inciting blizzards of white clouds along the railroad tracks. The uncanny snow animated the humble bricking of the houses and stonework of the churches. It found its way into the nooks and crevices of architectural details and everyday objects. Emily Dickinson's alabaster wool that fills the wrinkles of the road. Chester, Pennsylvania became a fantasy land. Once I discovered that snow could close school, which I viewed as a minimum security prison with a liberal weekend furlough plan, I was hooked for life. On the subject of school, one of the highlights of my professional life occurred early in my career when I worked at United Press International, UPI, in Philadelphia. As a new recruit, one of my duties on snow days was to relay the school closing numbers from the city government, which had agreed to be the regional collections center for the best news that a kid could possibly receive, to our broadcast clients. The numbers came via teletype, and it was my job to retype them and put them on the broadcast wire. I embraced my awesome responsibility. How often in my youth had I begged and prayed to hear that I would be spared my scholastic sentence for a day? Now here I was, emissary of the too good to be true. Tedium was never so blessed. On one morning, conservatively, I had punched 300 numbers. I got 299 right. Unfortunately, the incorrect number I did type matched the code for one of the area's largest school districts. Those schools were very much open that day. The superintendent was not happy. The radio station was not happy and eventually dropped UPI. My boss was not happy. Me, I have absolutely no regrets. The realization that snow could close schools came after I had been securely captivated by snow. I recall a snowstorm on a Friday night, and my brother saying it was a waste because schools would be closed anyway until Monday. I didn't feel that way at all. Snow was snow. I don't know that I was aware of it at the time, but eventually I came to appreciate that it was my invitation to the mysteries of nature, and through a passion for snow, I derived invaluable lessons. Among them, you can't always get what you want, and sometimes not even what you need. Grown-ups are indeed fallible, and, in the words of Robert Frost, nothing gold can stay. I endured the heartache of anticipating a snowstorm that I hoped would close my school for life, only to get nothing, or worse, rain. Thanks to snow, I discovered that even adults could be clueless. I'll never